Hello, buddies, and welcome to yet another edition of the Boob Tube Buddies podcast, in which we will be discussing Twin Peaks: The Return, Part 9. We took a little break, but not because we skipped anything, but because they had a 4th of July no episode, so we were excited to be back. I am Mothman, and I am joined by the...
Kristin!
Yeah, Kristin.
What is it? Do you have one?
No, it's funny. I had one, and then I didn't write it down, and I couldn't figure out which one I wanted to use. So, yeah, I guess you're the blue to my rose.
I like it.
I was reading a weird, Tin Hat fan theory about what if blue rose cases have different symbology, and it pointed out that Dr. Jacoby has glasses with a blue lens and a rose lens, and then it starts talking about the 3D glasses portion of the Secret History of Twin Peaks books, where different images show up depending on which eye you close.
Oh my god, that's mind-blowing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how mind-blowing it was. It didn't seem to support anything other than just,
I like it though.
Random associations, but I still enjoyed it. So, anyway.
There's nothing I like more than theorizing and conspiracies and all that kind of stuff. So,
which I guess is why it's a natural fit for Twin Peaks, right?
Exactly. I've been rewatching Twin Peaks, the original show.
Nice. I watched all of the first season and most of the second season before the new one came on, but then we watched
cool.
Fire Walk with Me. So I think I missed... Season 2 is a longer season. I think I'm missing the last, 10 episodes that I haven't seen recently, at least. But...
Yeah, I've just been watching it in my spare time, and I just love it so much. Especially, like I told you, I'd never seen Fire Walk with Me, and it's just such a, glue to everything else.
Yeah.
So, I love it.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, and we'll get into more stuff later, but Matthew Lillard, as he's being interrogated, and he talks about the other men in the room and stuff, I was assuming he's talking about the Black Lodge and the different people he saw, and immediately I was thinking of the scenes from Fire Walk with Me, where you see a lot more of the characters from Black Lodge than you ever see otherwise, like the dude with the white pointy nose mask and stuff.
Yes, and the old lady, and...
Yeah, so that's the recent, association I drew. But, just to warm us up for talking about weird shit, you want to get into some weird news?
Let's do it.
Okay. I got a pretty funny story to start with, which I could totally see appearing in Twin Peaks, but this
I can't wait.
person went to an ATM. And
no, shut up. That's mine.
No shit.
The guy who gets stuck?
Oh, God. All right. You're going to go first.
Okay.
How do we pick That's pretty funny. All right.
That's
go for it. You own this.
Oh, God. Now I'm really scared. Okay. So, dude goes to an ATM, and instead of a receipt, he gets a plea for help on a little scratch of paper. And he's at a Bank of America branch in Corpus Christi, Texas. And apparently a repairman got stuck inside the actual ATM room connected to the machine. Left his cell phone, left his swipe card, everything he needed outside. Even the cops didn't know if this was real or if it was a joke. Totally real. Police ended up freeing him by kicking down the door where he was trapped. Nobody was harmed. But yeah, really fucking weird.
That's so weird. It's got to be the weirdest thing. One, I wonder if the person just went to get money and it was just there, or did they give me $20 and then $20 didn't come, and then they're like, well, fuck, I needed that money. Now I have to wait for the cops?
Oh, God, that would have been so inconvenient.
Right? I mean, what do you do? Just put another piece of paper in and say, hey, I called the cops. Can you
hand me $20
because you owe me $20? Yeah, or just hand me $20. That's true. He has to be near the money.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have to imagine it works like a vending machine where if he got stuck inside, he'd be with the sodas and with the snacks. He's probably with the money.
Oh, man. Think. No, it'd be the most brilliant heist in the world. Just to write on there, I won't tell anyone, and I'll let you die in here alone if you don't hand me thousands of dollars.
Oh, my God. That would be brilliant. Because I think in that story, a couple people approached it, got the note, thought it was a joke, and walked away.
They thought they were on one of those true TV shows.
Exactly. And if you think about it, if the person said no, went back with a little no, you would never know who it was who fucked them over.
Yeah, man. God, talk about the perfect crime.
Missed opportunity.
If
What?
I ever go to an ATM, which I do every 6 months or something like that, and I get that note, I'm going to pull it off.
Oh, I would have to.
Right?
Thank you for the great idea.
Yeah. How about this? Like, patent law, you have to give me 50-50.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Deal.
How patents work. All right. You ready for this one? This one's also absurd, although I don't think it would appear in Twin Peaks. So a woman farted during her surgery, which set fire to a laser in the operating room and gave her terrible burns.
Oh, how embarrassing.
Right?
Poor woman. And the fact that it's a woman and not a man, because a man would like probably leave, and once he got past the horror of what he's done to himself because of his flatulence, he'd be like, oh yeah, man. But a woman's like, I don't fart.
Yeah, he would be like a professional tailgater from now on with just the best story of the night.
Exactly.
Showing off his battle scars, and it was from a masculine fart, whereas she would just be a leper to society.
No, the two questions, vice versa, of man versus female, and talking to another one in a bar going, how'd you get that scar? The reaction?
Yeah, then it might be like a shark attack.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I personally would lie about that till the day I die.
Can you imagine if the guy meets like his wife at the bar by lying about the shark attack, and then happens to hear him at a tailgate telling the real story, and then divorces him?
Oh, that's the second saddest story in this whole lump of things. That's awful.
Everything they did was based on a lie. It only makes sense.
It's true. Oh God, that would be horrible. And you know what's even worse is the fact that it was made news. Like, she farted, set off a laser, burned herself, and as if that wasn't enough.
So, I mean, to be fair, made the news. Like, I literally search weird news, so I'm going out of my way to find this shit.
Still part of the news.
It's true. It's true.
It's out there.
Anyway, the best part, though, is that is the headline, but immediately above it, or below it, which it says, I'll do it in like a radio voice. Some experts are skeptical the fart itself could have caused the fire.
That's even better. What a tagline.
Yeah, to which case I'm just like, so you clearly left that out of the title because then no one would have clicked on it. Exactly. It's like the epitome of clickbait, but you have too much journalistic integrity because it's like HuffPost. It's not like a weird trip.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like a news organization. They have too much integrity to not have the disclaimer in there, even though they definitely wanted your click.
They have boundaries, okay?
Yeah.
They have lines they don't cross.
Man, the lamestream media, I tell you what.
Oh, jeez.
All right, so how about we move into our second segment, Summon It Up in a Tweet.
Oh yeah, we're summon it up, so summon it up. Summon it up, oh yeah, we're summon it up. Oh yeah, we're summon it up, so summon it up. Summon it up and up.
Tweet. Okay, for mine, I didn't really know what to do, so I figured to focus on Briggs, because he seems, or like Garland Briggs, he seems like a big part of this
because he's
episode.
A fucking badass?
He is a badass. I always just can only get one, like I have a rhyme in my head, and I put a sentence out there, or a line, if you will, and I'm already basically done with my tweet, so then I just give up. So anyway, I didn't rhyme, I just said it. So, the location to the Black Lodge is revealed to Bobby. His father seems to be a celestial shaman helping the focus, I'm going to start over, okay? Scratch that.
Yes.
Man,
yes,
this is a tongue twister when you're trying to do intimidating voices. The location to the Black Lodge is revealed to Bobby. His father seems to be a celestial shaman helping the forces of good unite. Yay for less Dougie. There it is.
That was...
Not worth it. Not worth the 14
no,
tries.
that was amazing. And the voice
Yeah.
made it so much better. That was good. And it was kind of a mouthful, so good job to you. Bravo.
Thank you. I always write things as highfalutin as possible, but then I just have this, basic person mouth.
I just have this basic person mouth.
I can't say the $10 words that I buy from my dictionary. Is that how the world works? All right.
That's why I just don't try them. Hopefully I'm coming off more relatable than stupid.
Yeah, I come off stupid every time.
Okay, so here's my summon it up and tweet. Upon examining Briggs, The group theorizes and they share. Man, that crazy badass Major and his plans for that chair. Fusco takes DNA from Dougie real slyly. And apparently around the dinner table, the conversation is lively. Boom.
That was great.
Thanks.
That was Summon It Up in a Tweet. I wanted to immediately talk about that, but then I realized I had to end the segment. One, I tried to do
that all the time.
I tried to do a normal laugh, and I'm sick. And immediately, what I did was, have you watched Arrested Development?
Yes.
I basically did the mom's reaction to Gene Parmesan. Gene! Right.
I did love that shocking reaction.
So there was a really funny meme on Reddit, which was from the 2000s commercials, because it's like VHS quality, but the 2000s commercials that were already starting about texting and driving. And it's
really
like this upset mom and says son or daughter or whoever died doing this, that, and the other. And then the second line, it says, I hope that last text they sent was worth it. And then it shows the screenshot of the phone with that text message around the dinner or whatever.
I don't remember that, but thinking back to the year 2000, even if it was the word hey, if they were looking down that long, it still probably took them a good solid 5 minutes because you had to scroll through each letter every time you read, just like in Twin Peaks.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I guess what just made it so funny to me was the fact that it was just clearly two shots in this meme from that commercial with the dialogue summarized, and the text that was being sent was just the screenshot from the show.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so
I love it.
That was the joke, is that it was, she was talking about Evil Cooper that died at that point. So you told me, and you I guess just told all of us, that you've been watching the original and you've watched Fire Walk with Me. So
yes.
How are you feeling after episode 8 now that we're back into some normal plot points?
I was really excited because so the first time around, like I said, I had a hard time with episode or part 8, and then I watched it again, or watched Fire Walk with Me, then watched it again, and now I'm watching, like you said, this all over again, the first season of the original, and it's just now I'm just so pumped. So when this episode ended, I'm like, oh my god, there was a lot there, and I loved how they tied everything that I'm currently watching
Yeah.
to now I watched all this stuff with Briggs. And then this episode happened, and it was literally within a matter of 24 hours that I watched both. So it felt really good and really satisfying.
Well, one of the pieces of dialogue, I mean, there's quite a few lines that I don't remember, but at least they're moments I remember from the original that always stand out. Like the scene when Dale's throwing rocks to decide their next course of action and explaining Tibetan Buddhism and all that. The damn good coffee lines and those things. But one of them that always stands out that doesn't even have to do with Dale, because so much of the cool stuff is from Dale, is Briggs running into Bobby at the diner and talking about the grand vision he has for his son. And explaining the difference between a dream, which is just the cataloging of today's events into your brain, to a vision, which is kind of celestial intervention. And that's such a cool and powerful scene. And
yes.
It's one of the many things that's never fully explained in the original. So then to see when they
come to fruition.
Yeah, they go and talk to his mom, and his mom's like, I've been waiting for 25 years. And it's not that she just reveals it, it's that they ask, what did Dale Cooper say? And she's like, well, once you asked what he said, I was supposed to tell you all of these things.
Yeah, she made sure that she did it exactly how he had wanted it to unfold.
Yeah, and it is weird. She told me that, Bobby, Hawk, and Sheriff Truman, although I didn't know it would be this Sheriff Truman, would come asking questions one day, Yeah,
it's so weird. And is that Sheriff Truman supposed to be his dad?
No, it's his brother.
Oh, it's his brother. Well, yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, because, well, I mean, obviously he was young in the show, but he's 25 years older now, so he's in his 60s. And
I'm really bummed he didn't come back now that I'm watching, like, the first episodes, because I just, like, fell asleep to the other night, the one where Albert comes in for the first time. And pretty much puts down everyone and everything, and he, like, gets in his
Punches
face. And I'm
him.
like, and I'm like, man, I really wish he was in this one. It's just, he didn't, like, necessarily stand out so much, but he just kind of completes the stuff. I don't know.
Yeah,
I liked their interaction.
Yeah, Albert is such an asshole when he first shows up, and then he shows up again in season 2, and he's a bit softer because he realizes kind of the scope of things, and I just straight up like him in this series.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I don't. There's a great joke he makes. I'm trying to remember the context. Do you remember it when he goes, "Man, I wonder what'll happen in season 2." Yeah, he says something about what'll happen in season 2 in this
because
episode.
They're describing like what's been happening since Albert showed up, and that's when he said it, right?
Oh, you meant since who showed up?
Since Albert came, and then he was described everything that had happened, right, in Twin Peaks. And then that's when he says, "I wonder what'll happen in season 2." Yeah,
which is just funny because it is like, all that Twin Peaks seems to be is basically jumping the shark in some way or another.
Yeah. Okay, so do you think at the beginning with that red bandana that had anything to do with anything, or is that just kind of a signal that, the two, where the 90s came to die, those two people, Pulp Fiction and Jennifer Jason Leigh, I think their name was like Hutch and something else.
Yeah, Jennifer Jason Leigh and Tim Roth.
Okay, Tim Roth.
I don't know their actual names in the show. What about them, though?
Do you think at the beginning, where Mr. C like walks down that path and then grabs the red bandana, that had something to do with them, or that had something to do with something else?
It was a blue bandana.
No, it wasn't. It was red.
I saw blue.
I saw red.
Blue rose.
Oh, housekeeping for next week, because I definitely saw red.
No, I saw red too. I was just gonna psych you
out. I'm so excited about that. I'm like, I can't wait.
Full week. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like anything in Twin Peaks. It may be absolutely nothing. It may have hugely significant meaning.
That's true.
What does mean a whole lot is that pink clamshell phone.
Oh my God, that thing is amazing.
Yeah, it was.
It reminds me of Pink's cell phone.
The Razor.
Deftones? Well, yes, but that my dad used to have that pink cell phone, by the way. My dad used to rock it. Yes, I don't know why, but he did. Did
your dad come out of the closet and divorce your mom?
Nope, just the latter.
Oh. Sorry. Did you watch Fargo this season?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what happens
darn
to
tootin'.
Carrie Coon's character. Yeah, that's right. He did all the darn tootins for it. Of course he did. But yeah, that was one of the weirder things of this show is just, they were high school. Eventually they explain it and it makes a little more sense. Like they'd known each other since the 5th grade, so it was comfortable. But then for them to, this is not a spoiler, by the way, like first episode, this is talked about in some way, shape, or form. Anyway.
Okay, so let's talk about that plane ride with Gordon and Preston and Albert and Diane. Diane is one of the most wonderfully weird characters I've ever seen.
Yeah, I love when she's in the... Oh, this is what I was going to say earlier. Now it comes to me. What I was going to say was the cigarette smoke to my dead body.
Oh, I like it.
That's what I was going to say earlier when I introduced you.
I'll take it.
Yeah, that was a funny line. When she's like, "Oh, you can't smoke in here." What I don't even know what she says.
Fucking morgue.
Yeah, it's a fucking morgue. To which case, I'm like, touche, but also people work there. Mm-hmm. But still, I mean, the way it's a valid argument because of the passion she showed.
Exactly. I almost believed her. I'm going to say something weird here in weird current news. I am oddly attracted to Gordon Cole. David Lynch.
Like that's your silver fox?
That is my silver fox. And then when I went back, I already thought I was kind of attracted to him. And then I went back and watched Twin Peaks all over again and then the Fire Walk again. I'm like, yep, definitely am. It's weird. I know. I'll admit it.
Well, I mean, it's one thing when you said you watched Fire Walk with Me when he's 25 years younger. But it's more that you're saying you're attracted to him in Twin Peaks: The Return.
Yeah, I mean, he aged well. What can I say?
Huh.
Maybe it's that loud voice that really turns me on.
Man, I bet you could find a super rich deaf dude.
I'm sure I can accomplish that.
Like that is the easiest. I don't know about easiest.
I might not be able to attain much, but an old deaf man.
Oh God! I mean, if it was a rich person, he could even have the gold hearing aid control that Gordon Cole has.
Exactly. I don't know if it's him himself or knowing that it's David Lynch behind Gordon Cole. You know, all that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well,
which makes it even weirder because that means I'm attracted to him in real life.
Well, while you're living with that for the next few minutes, we're going to go ahead and throw to the interview with Brookie Shy Shy, maybe do an ad or some shit like that. We will be right back.
Sounds good.
Player 3 has entered the game.
All right, little buddies, I'm here once again with another segment or another edition of Brookie Ain't So Shy Shy. Joshua Brookshire's here with us, and he is going to talk about family. Am I right?
Yeah, I figured we won't get into anything too heady. Nothing that requires a long bibliography or intensive digging through crazy message boards and conspiracy theories. None of that this week. Maybe a little bit, but I'm only going to slightly touch upon it because I don't know how you felt. I was kind of grateful that we had like a week break after that incredible avant-garde bomb blast literally of an episode, and we returned back to Twin Peaks, probably the most Twin Peaks itself, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
At least in my opinion, I would say it feels that way. And when it comes to family, that to me is like one of the bases of the entire show. Obviously, is that it starts
Families
out with
the
worst. The worst tragedy any family could face is the death of a child. You know.
Yeah.
And something I didn't. It didn't really click until I watched this new episode. Is like what an MVP Dana Ashbrook is Bobby Briggs, man. Like, for me, he stole the entire episode. I think there's just something about him, you know. Like, I don't know how you felt when I first watched the show, probably about like a decade or so ago. The first time I watched it, man, I was like, dude, I just want to slap this kid. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, he's very schmarmy.
A jerk off.
Yeah, he's a jerk off, and he's also a little, when he's not being a jerk off, like his, confessing his love and stuff, he's a little bit soap opera-y, which obviously they're trying to catch, but he wasn't much of a standout performer for me, although he had his moments. But yeah, like he evokes a genuine emotion in this episode.
Yeah, Bobby Briggs, like upon like subsequent rewatches, and especially after I read The Secret Twin Peaks, The Secret Diary of Laura Palmer, written by David Lynch's daughter Jennifer Lynch. Mm-hmm. It comes out that like Bobby is like actually the one person that Laura had like a legitimate connection with. She wrote down basically that she thought Bobby was a lot like her, and that he wears the face of a normal teen, and underneath all that, he's put in this terrible situation where he's having like his burgeoning sexuality tested. He's introduced into drugs at a young age, and in Fire Walk with Me, he kills a cop. He's technically guilty of a capital crime.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So to see him not only become a cop, but to actually like retain like what is the goodness inside of him, it really it made me feel a certain way, man. I'm gonna be honest, because
I completely forgot he was a murderer.
Oh yeah, he shoots that guy.
Yeah, that's right. Twice. Fuck. Yeah, that's crazy.
Execution style.
Yeah, he talk about second chances.
But then I started thinking about it more, and it's like, in the pilot, after we see Josie, Pete, and Catherine, it goes to Sarah Palmer, and she instinctively knows that something's wrong. You know, she knows that her daughter isn't there, and she immediately jumps to the worst conclusion any parent could have is my daughter's hurt, my daughter's dead. You know, and the first person she reaches out to comfort for some form of reassurance is she calls the Briggs.
Mm-hmm.
And Betty Briggs, Charlotte Stewart, answers the phone and offers, I mean, she obviously knows that something's up because Bobby isn't there, you know, and she tries to offer reassurance. And she's the first person that we see who isn't acting like hysterically. She's a font.
She's calm.
It's a certain type of femininity, and not in a misogynist way I say this. It's the power of like a fully loving matriarch, you know, like the embrace your mother gives you. You know, she has that vibe about her.
Sure.
And it's borne out through the rest of the series that the Briggses, if you really think about it, are the only family unit in Twin Peaks, the entire show, the books, the film, who are engaged in a normal, conventional marriage where neither partner is cheating on each other. Every other family unit, including good old Doc Hayward, has some form of cheating or cuckoldry going on. And once you think about it, it's like no wonder that Major Briggs is the strongest like male signifier of goodness in the show. He's codified as a military man, a man of authority, who's removed, a bit aloof, you know. And the episode 9 of the original Return, which is technically the first episode of season 2, we get my favorite scene in Twin Peaks, which is Major Briggs sharing his vision with Bobby at the Double R Diner. As opposed to a dream, which is the sorting and cataloging of the day's events by the subconscious mind. No, this was a vision, fresh and clear as a mountain stream. And in his vision, he says that he's in a vast palazzo, a grand estate. It's white, gleaming marble. Obviously, later people would obviously make the connection that he's talking about a vision from the White Lodge. And he hears a knock at the door, and it was his son, you know, clearly living a life of deep harmony, he says, you know, and we embraced. In that moment, we were one. And I woke with a tremendous feeling of optimism in your future, you know, and he says that, and Dana Ashbrook's face breaks, you know, like it cuts back and forth between Don S. Davis and Dana Ashbrook. And man, say what you will about Bobby Briggs, that dude has some huge blue eyes, you know, they just convey pain, you know, like
that scene's phenomenal for sure.
Like, when he's reintroduced in The Return, when he walks into the room and sees Laura's picture, his eyes just get that same Bobby, like, oh my God, like it's like a gut punch thing, like bravo, you know, MVP of the episode for me. But the Briggs is as a cohesive family unit. Not only are they like the exception to the rule in Twin Peaks, that they're a stable family unit, but they're also the mirror inverse of the Palmer family. You have 2 parents and then a single child. In the Palmer's case, a daughter. In the Briggs' case, a son. And while you're initially given a bit of sympathy and like horror and shock to Leland's plight, eventually, obviously, it's revealed that this guy is a monster. He's a terrible person. Like, if Bob is not an excuse for any of the terrible things he did to his daughter, but in quite the opposite, Major Briggs, when we're introduced to him, basically is him slapping the cigarette out of his son's mouth, and it lands in the meatloaf. And you're thinking, oh my God, this guy is like a total douche. He's like an authoritarian person.
Yeah.
But it's not that. He has such weight and expectation built up for his son that he can tell, in my opinion, on a subconscious level, that something is very wrong with his son. Like, it's not just rebelling is one thing, but like openly flaunting and disrespecting your parents at the dinner table. Like, I don't would ever condone slapping a child across the face, but if anyone in that moment deserved to get slapped, it's Bobby. You know?
Yeah.
He's drinking. He's introduced drinking and driving at 8:00 in the morning. He's the first character in the show who we see who is having an affair or who is engaged in a relationship with someone other than who people suspect. So Bobby sets that theme in stone, and it's revealed throughout the show. Everyone, literally, with the exception of Garland and Betty Briggs, is engaged in some form of like secretive, romantic or sexual act. And Bobby, in the first run, like I started getting this vibe when I was rewatching it in preparation for the return. Is like Bobby knows that he's on the wrong track, but he can't bring himself to admit that his father is right. So throughout the series, he's emulating other bad dudes in town. At first, he's screwing Leo's wife. He's running drugs for Leo. He tries to pretend like he's just as tough as Leo, that he would shoot him down in a second's hesitation. But when the time comes and Leo's swinging an axe at him, Bobby doesn't have anything. You know, he can't do anything about it because in reality, he's just a scared, stupid kid. And then after that, after everything goes awry with him, his plan with Shelley to collect the insurance money on Leo, he latches on to arguably an even more terrible person, Ben Horn, a man who runs an underage prostitution ring across the Canadian border, you know, and he starts dressing like Ben. He even indulges him in his Civil War fantasy, and he's doing it all to get to what is subconsciously Ben Horn's sexual attraction to his daughter. Freaky enough, if you remember the cliffhanger from season 1 where Audrey's stuck at the One-Eyed Jacks and Ben Horn comes in, you know. By the end of it, Bobby's returned back to Shelley, and it's pretty much like a bookend reflection of how the show begins. But 25 years later, Bobby he's in a position of some authority. You know, he isn't the sheriff; he's a deputy, but he's helping people out. He's doing the right things. And when the time comes to go back and speak to his mother, she reveals that, you know, basically what the Major's vision said. He always believed in his son. He knew that the day would come when Bobby, Hawk, and Sheriff Truman, she wasn't sure which Sheriff Truman, would walk through the door and ask about Cooper. Now, I've seen like a lot of takes on the episode, and you know me, man, I'm a fanatic. But the one thing I'm very surprised people haven't picked up on is that the capsule, the lead cylinder that comes out of the back of the chair, that Bobby instinctively remembers he had something like that he knew how to open when he was a kid. The way to open it is to spike it like a football. That is like beautiful artistic, like it brings it all back. Like there's the innocence of a child. It's what Bobby portrayed to the outside world, that he was the captain of the football team. He was dating the homecoming queen. But underneath it all, he was really just a scared boy in under his head. But his father knew that when the time came, he would have to reach back into his innocence to something that he probably hasn't even thought about playing football in forever. But he knows the way to open it is to slam it against the ground. And then there's the part, I don't know, it's such a throwaway shot that it makes when he turns around and like goes looking through the grass for it.
Like a little
that
kid.
Is perfect.
Yeah.
Just like a little kid. I've seen my niece do the same thing. Like, and tons of little kids, you're like looking around for it, you can't find it.
Yeah.
His pants are hanging low, you know, he has to pull his pants back up. So good.
Very much
but like underneath it all, Bobby he's still like kind of like the same, like, I mean, he's a jokester at heart, you know. He's got like a wry sense of humor. They go through all that rigmarole of kicking Chad out of the office and
before he does anything about it.
And Bobby's just standing against the window, and Bobby knows the whole time. He just wants to see that dude like, nah, dog, you're not a part of OG Twin Peaks. You don't deserve to like watch any mystery or anything. Get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here, Chad. I'm about to
I think
save
that's
us
something
all.
every man can agree. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Get the
awesome,
fuck out of
man.
here, right?
Cool.
But it's interesting that Major Briggs is a character that was created by Mark Frost. In the original run, David Lynch and Mark Frost each created characters of their own. Ben Horn's another Mark Frost character. But Major Briggs, Mark Frost said that he based the way he speaks, that calm, southern, like very loquacious, eloquent way.
Yeah.
He said he based it off his own father, Warren Frost, who played Doc Hayward, rest in peace. I just think it's such a for a show that's about it's sort of two baby boomers, Lynch and Frost, trying to reconcile with the notion of what America really is underneath it all through their time growing up in the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Sure.
And they, at first with Twin Peaks, they had the ability to go underneath and say behind every family home is not every family home, but behind the small town exterior is terrible fonts of sexual depravity, violence, infanticide, all these things, right? But to hinge it on the one good person is the one person who holds up the ideal of what a nuclear family is supposed to be is Major Briggs. I'm very happy with it. I think it's a beautiful thing to put out there. It's sort of like, in my opinion, it's a little bit of conservative sexual pathology. The idea that if a man can't have a normal household, a family unit who loves and supports each other, then he's a failed man. Basically, that's like basically what right wingers think of. And to have
that's it to the extreme, but luckily I don't get that vibe from Briggs.
Oh no, he's a good person, man. That's like the whole thing of it is Briggs is actually the one good person, and as a father figure, this is the one little like bit of magic that I would go into is the fact that he had the grand vision to not only go into the lodge or what Bill Hastings calls the zone or whatever, and then he leaves all these clues, right, that's set up. It's almost like what Freemasonry refers to as the grand architect of the universe, which is like a creator god who created a clockwork mechanism, a universe that works, and then stepped away to watch how it all played out. That's sort of what Briggs is doing. And in a sense, him and Betty have what in magic would be called an alchemical marriage, which is two people who are fully initiated into the mystery schools, and they are engaged in a loving, mutually beneficial, and respectful relationship. That's what an alchemical marriage is. The magic itself is based on mutual love and respect. I just think it's quite touching. I always
it's a
really
nice way
like
to look at it. Well,
and before we go, a few minor notes. Bringing up Charlotte Stewart as Betty Briggs, very, very underrated. A lot of people like to shit on mid-season 2 when things are kind of diffuse and all. But one of my personal underrated scenes is after Briggs disappears from the woods with Cooper and he's gone. Bobby comes back home and finds his mother sitting, crying softly with all the lights off in her house. And he says, "Mom, what's wrong? Dad will be back." He goes away all these times, and she sits there and she says the most beautiful, heartbreaking thing, which kind of makes me tear up every time I watch it. She says, "Sometimes when I'm sleeping, he runs his fingers through my hair, and he thinks that I don't notice, but I do." And that's just such a beautiful display of mature love, these people have grown to love each other, and their love is the one light, the one hope really that we have of bringing Cooper back at this point. And it all comes together. Before I sign off, a quick little shout out to my friend Lindsay Stamhuse of the Bickering Peaks podcast. She got our Boob Tube Buddies episodes in rotation on the official new fan site 25yearslater.com. So we're on there with the list of all the other Twin Peaks podcasts, and that's all because of her. She's a good person, you know.
Awesome.
They're great.
Fantastic.
And,
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Mathis, thank you so much for letting me share this. I wish you nothing but the very best in all you do.
Absolutely, man. I will see you next week for another fantastic episode. Peace.
See you later, little buddy.
Player 3 has left the game.
And we are back. A huge thanks to Brookie Shy as always, and talking about his theme this week of family. At this point, I would like to say that we have a nice sponsor. Spiders Will Eat Your Face is available now on Amazon Prime. You can watch it right on the Amazon website or through the Amazon video apps. It is about the history of pet tarantulas in America. Please check it out. Otherwise, what else do you want to touch upon?
Well, we got Cooper or Dougie or whatever, and Janie wait as Bushnell gives the statement at the police station.
Yes, and you have, the police are talking, and you have that one in the center that has the world's best laugh.
Oh my god.
Like, I don't even know how to impersonate it. It's just so weird.
It's so weird. It reminds me of Will Sasso in Drop Dead Gorgeous, which is probably a 1997 movie you've never seen. But Will Sasso plays a special man, and he has the same laugh.
Drop Dead Gorgeous, I have seen.
You have?
Yeah, but I'm trying to remember that girl's name. The main
Kirsten
girl.
Dunst?
Is that
Kirsten
Drop Dead
Dunst or
Gorgeous?
Denise Richards?
Oh, I did see that with my sister at some point. Not what I was thinking. It does have a great Metacritic score of a 28, though.
I just actually recently bought it on DVD probably 3 weeks ago just for my birthday.
Man, what am I? I'm thinking of. I don't know what that movie is. Anyway.
Drop Dead Fred?
No, I don't even think it was. I don't even think it says Drop Dead or Gorgeous in the title. But yeah, so that'll be a mystery. We'll have to go back and figure out at some point.
But yes, he does have the greatest laugh ever. That dude. They're all brothers. They seem real sharp. They actually do end up doing a very cliche movie move and getting his DNA.
Wait, give me some other movies they do this.
Come on, you've seen him in TV shows where they're like, they give him some kind well, you don't just give somebody a toothbrush, but they give them a drink, and then they end up like taking that drink when they're not looking so that they have either fingerprints or DNA sample.
Or like the female detective seduces them.
Yes, exactly.
I feel like I've seen that one in a comedy before.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel like Austin Powers did it in one of his movies.
Oh God, that's another movie I need to watch again soon.
I watched the first two like last year or the year before. Mm-hmm. Dumb, but still great.
Still great. Everybody hates The Love Guru, but I love it.
I never watched it because it got so panned, but I think I still would find joy in it. It's kind of like that movie Master of Disguise with Dana Carvey.
If you like Master of Disguise, you're gonna like Love Guru. It's just very like old school, just silly Mike Myers. I don't know. It's really great.
So anyway, the police station, they get the evidence and all that good stuff, by having the coffee mug drink because he loves his coffee. And then
they find out that Dougie Jones, nothing prior to 1997.
Nothing prior to 1997, which makes you think that is when he came from the Black Lodge. Mm-hmm. So not 25 years ago, 20 years ago. Kind of giving you some timeline that it seems like for 5 years we had Mr. C or Evil Dougie wreaking havoc before, for whatever reason, something occurs where a good version of a version of Cooper came to be. But what his purpose was to hire prostitutes and get into debt with his overbearing wife, I doubt that was it.
Oh, I doubt. I'm going to have to agree with you there, Mathis. I thought it was weird that, when he's sitting in the chair and he observes like the woman's shoes and the outlet, but then they like stare at the American flag. I was wondering if like Is that a nod to the 4th of July? I'm just kidding. You don't have to theorize about that.
I'm glad you were kidding. I was going to be so nice, but I didn't know what to say yet.
I was totally...
I was like, they skipped the 4th of July.
I know. The thing you were saying, though, about the 5-year span, I bet you maybe in the future, just like they did with Fire Walk with Me or like the Forgotten History and all that, maybe we'll find out more. Because I honestly don't think we're going to find all of that out in what we have left. Do you think we could?
We're halfway there. There's 9 more episodes.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe.
I mean, I don't think they're going to be, like, explicit on everything, but I don't know. Maybe, like, the weird experiment creature, the blind creature that we saw in one of the rooms, and we saw eat the people's faces, and we saw, like, projectile vomiting out Bob. Maybe there's, like, some weird sex, like, asexual thing it does to reproduce, and it takes 5 years to gestate, and then it gives birth.
Well, that is something. That's interesting.
Right? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Why the 5
No,
years?
it's a good. I like where you took that.
Yeah, kind of a Black Lodge cocoon.
Respect.
All right. What else we got?
Ike the Spike gets arrested. Move along, because he sucks.
Yeah, he actually had like a little bit of acting, like other than being menacing, and talked to himself as he was doing whiskey shots, and he wasn't very good.
Nope. So
Yeah.
there's a message for JT. No cigar. And he's going on medical leave. Don't know what that means. Don't know, like you said, if we'll ever find out.
Yeah, I guess no cigar means he probably failed his job and he's done.
Yeah.
I would have to imagine, but I don't think Mr. C is going to be happy about that. Good thing he'll be safe in prison.
Yep, that's very true. I don't know, though, because Mr. C seems to have control in prison as well.
Yeah, it's true. He could just call the phone line and have him killed somehow by the electricity.
Exactly. So they get that, so the chair. How much have we gone into the chair?
We haven't at all, but before we go into the chair, why is Mr. C alive? Didn't 1,000 ghosts rip him apart last episode?
It seemed that way, but he got up at the end.
Yeah. What I think happened is I don't know what I think happened.
Yeah, really, please, I would love to hear what you think happened, because I have no effing clue.
I mean, they're ripping him apart, and like these were obviously the ghosts of like the radiation effects of the first nuclear bomb, like ancient tribes or whatever that lived there, or just maybe the lives that could have happened, but they had to not have that land livable for so long. Anyway,
those are the woodsmen, right? The ones from above the convenience store?
yeah, I mean, I think they're all, I don't know what they're actually supposed to be, but like you have the woodsmen, you have these people that obviously lived in the surrounding forest or lived off the land or potentially that couldn't once the bomb went off. They kind of are tearing at him. But then it seems like, I don't know, it seems like that weird experiment thing doesn't let his body go back. Like it's just like, no, you're not done. You either go to the Black Lodge or you stay back there. And so then he gets up and is like, all right, I'll keep trucking.
Exactly. And so now is he just, I wonder if he is tied to that at all. He's no longer tied to that dimension, and now he's just like a extra copy of Dale who's just a shithead.
Yeah, I don't know. I really have no clue. I'm sure they'll tie a nice bow on all this, and this is Pulitzer Prize winning analysis.
I know, right? Because I'm like, why am I even trying to theorize right now when we really should just be talking about the show? Because like, there's no explaining some of this stuff.
That's
Some
true.
of it connects, but you won't find out for 25 years.
No, I do love they go back to the conference room, and one of Brookie's favorite things to say is that Foxman is a total Chad. I love how they so Chad is obviously a total douche of a character. Like he's making fun of Truman's wife because they have a disabled kid. He takes a bribe off of that gropey dude that runs over a kid in an episode. Like he's obviously the worst, but you can't help but feel for him when they're like, no eating in the conference room. They're like, but you have donuts in here every day.
Get out.
Get out. You know the rules. And then he's struggling to hold everything and no one will help him.
No one opens
Even
the door
Hawk
for him.
reluctantly helped. It was just so priceless. It's so clear no one likes Chad. Poor Fox.
Now Chad, I'm going to love Chad even more now.
Yeah, you just see him and see dopey Foxman walking around.
That's amazing. Something to note real quick. There was a scene where Johnny was running around the house and his caretaker, Mary, was not watching him, and he ended up smashing into the wall. That was Johnny Horn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is he dead?
I don't know. Is he dead?
He kind of looked dead.
Oh, wait. He was in this episode?
Yeah.
Say that one more time. I thought you were just asking, like, is he dead? Like, I've been watching the show. Is he not ever coming back? Because you were watching the original.
No. Last night, or not last night, but Sunday night, there's a scene where this guy's like running crazy through the house, and you just hear somebody screaming, "Johnny, Johnny, Johnny," and then all of a sudden he just like smashes into the wall into a picture frame, and it looks like his neck's bent back or something.
Oh, that like, I didn't know they were calling the name. Yeah, I was wondering what the hell that had to do with anything. That would make sense if that's grown up Johnny. Okay.
Yeah.
To me, there's so many scenes that just I take in. I guess put them somewhere in my brain, and until the next relevant scene happens, like 4 episodes from now, it just goes away sometimes. And but otherwise,
I totally get that.
You know, visually it's a very cool show, so it tends to be triggered when you see something similar happen.
Exactly.
Anyway, in that conference room, Bobby sees them looking at this, what is said to be seamless object that they get from Bobby's mom about the vision. He's like, I know how to open that thing. You just throw it on the ground until it gets the certain vibration, which I believe is the same note as the vibration in the Great Northern.
Yeah, the one that Beverly and Ben were looking for at the end of the show.
Yep, and then Ben somehow keeps it in his pants. Like he's never been able to do that before.
That was so weird. I mean, in this one time, it's Ashley Judd. In an entire first season of Twin Peaks, you're going to go for that homely lady from The Faculty, but you're not going to hit it up with Ashley Judd.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
That's crazy.
Especially with the mood music, you know? And the mood,
exactly.
Mood just the solid.
How could you not do it to a monastery bell?
Yeah, how could you not do it to a dog whistle? Yeah. Anything else? When they open it, they get the slip of paper that it's Jack Rabbit's place. Yes, which you're like, God, we have to figure out what, you know, one thing about Twin Peaks is almost like these other, you know, Westworld or Lost or whatever, where it's like, oh God, one more piece of evidence. And you kind of say to yourself, oh, what the fuck does that mean? Like, there was one-eyed Jacks, so when would we see a rabbit last? And then luckily, immediately, Bobby's like, oh, that's so sweet. He clearly knew. It's not just a coincidence what my mom said earlier, because you could tell they were all kind of on the fence a little bit. But once he's like, no, that's like the imaginary place in the forest that my father let me name. I can take you exactly where he's talking about.
I'm not gonna lie, it got me choked up a little bit.
Right? And then the other message says, Cooper.
Cooper, yep.
Yeah, I hear it as the Little Caesars slogan. Cooper.
Oh, Cooper. I was like singing it to the theme song of Sister Sister.
Cooper. or that Red Hot Chili Peppers cover of a funk band I can't remember, Roller Coaster. Cooper.
Oh yeah, Cooper of love.
Oh yeah, of love or a riddle. All right.
Exactly. Hastings. Last thing, Hastings saw the Major.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. And I didn't know if he talked about that yet. And he claimed to had entered that alternate dimension. And apparently Major's been hibernating there and told him to get coordinates for them. And they got it. And he actually identifies a picture of Briggs out of like 6 different guys.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like, there's a shit ton that happened this episode. It was very plot heavy compared to some of the other episodes because we didn't even talk about him yet, or the amazing fan website, or maybe really website they did that someone put up. But yeah, he was some psychonaut of some sort, kind of traveling the astral plane. Clearly met Briggs, and like the Briggs connection, which they've already revealed in past episodes, with Dougie's wedding ring inside him and a body that hasn't aged in 25 years. You're starting to think that Briggs in some way, shape, or form is kind of at the center of so much of the Twin Peaks stuff, which I haven't recorded, very transparently, audience. I haven't recorded the interview with Brookie yet. yet you'll hear that before we get to this point. He has a whole theory we're going to talk about in regard to that. So,
Well, that's exciting.
yeah. Anyway, that should be a decent amount, I think, for this episode. But I think next week we'll probably have hopefully a few more things kind of like solidified, you know?
Yes. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Cool. Well, we will see you next week, all right? Anything else, or is that it?
Nope, I'm good.
Cool. Well, why don't you tie a bow on this?
See you later, little buddies.